What's going on, YouTube boxing community? It's your boy Avni over here at the Sweet Science Brothers boxing channel. And I'm making this video. It's right before the Tyson Fury Vladimir Klitschko fight, and this is sort of like a weekend review. A weekend review of all the fucking bullshit, in my opinion, that's been going on since the Saul Canelo Alvarez Miguel Cotto fight. So let's talk about that right now. First off, let me just start off by saying that I had Saul Canelo Alvarez put on a fucking masterful display of boxing. All right, I felt as though anything Cotto did to change the course of the fight, Canelo just kind of made an adjustment and fought around whatever Cotto was trying to do. He pressured Cotto. He landed the most punches. He threw fewer shots. All around, it was a better fight. I mean, it was just a better fight for Canelo Alvarez. And HBO was kind of saying, like, they were kind of trying to hint at that Cotto might have been too small, which I don't think was the case, really. I mean, that might have been a little bit of, the advantages that Canelo had, but I think that a big part of why Canelo was able to do what he did was because he was catching Cotto so fucking clean. Whether it was on the chin with an inside uppercut or right around the elbow for a body shot, it seemed that every shot he was throwing at Cotto was very well placed. And, it's to say that, it's not to say that Cotto fought bad, because I thought he even fought well, in my opinion. I thought he was going to get steamrolled. And I didn't think even Canelo was as good as he was, to be honest with you. My brother may not be as ecstatic about the fight as I was, but I thought that there was a lot of improvement in the way that Canelo Alvarez fought. And this dude's still getting wet, you know what I'm saying? I don't think we've seen him peak. But let's get into the bullshit, basically, after the fight that I really want to talk about. Okay, so everybody knows Floyd Mayweather Jr. apparently had this fight close. He said 8 rounds to 4 he had it for Canelo Alvarez. And, even Juan Manuel Marquez, for example, had the fight a draw. But let's just focus on Floyd Mayweather Jr. first. If you want to talk about a fight that was 8 rounds to 4, let's go back and look at your first fight with Marcos Maidana, because I had that fight 8 rounds to 4. I had that fight 8 rounds to 4. I just had you fucking losing the fight, dog. And where are your fucking fans? These fucking fans that basically have you winning every fight 10 rounds to 2, but then Canelo puts on a very similar performance to the one that you put on against him, and they say, oh, that fight was closer, there's some biased-ass judges. We got to discuss something, because Floyd Mayweather Jr. was basically trying to get Gennady Golovkin to fight Andre Ward for like the last 2 months. He's basically been talking about how, I don't know how good he is until he fights Andre Ward. He should just move up and fight Andre Ward. HBO is fucking racist. They're trying to promote a Caucasian fighter. All that fucking bullshit that he was spouting for the last few months. And you know what it was all about? This motherfucker wanted to fight the winner of Cotto and Canelo, and he probably had Cotto winning that fight before the fight. And, he basically pulled the fucking race card and started trivializing the fucking struggle so that he could make some fucking extra money and shit. Because he's a fucking straight-up liar, and Berto wasn't his last fight. Mark my words, he'll come out of retirement and try to fight some big-name, non-threat and shit. You had people like Dante from Dante's Boxing Nation basically promoting the idea that somehow HBO is fucking racist because they're promoting Gennady Golovkin. I mean, let's be realistic here. I know this is a little off topic, but let's be realistic here. HBO has been doing some heavy promotion of Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford, no disrespect, he's Wesley Snipes black. All right, he's straight up Wesley Snipes black. And also, this pay-per-view that just passed is between 2 Latin fighters, a Puerto Rican and a Mexican. And yeah, Canelo Alvarez does look like, a little bit on the ginger side, but he's not white. He's Mexican. He's a Latino. So, and even Gennady Golovkin himself, he's half Korean. So all that shit that they were talking about, really, it's really low. Floyd doesn't surprise me anymore at how low he's willing to go, and Dante doesn't either. They trivialize the black struggle on a fucking daily, you know what I'm saying? Just for their own monetary gains and shit. So that shows you where those type of motherfuckers are. But let's talk about another motherfucker who had this fight a draw, which is fucking hysterical. And what makes it even more sad is this fucking dude really believes this shit. All right, let's talk about Juan Manuel Marquez. He basically had this fight a draw. Now, if you look at the history of things that Juan Manuel Marquez has said about Saul Canelo Alvarez, he never gives him the credit he deserves, and he never has any sort of high expectation for him before any fights. Which is interesting to me because, in my opinion, Juan Manuel Marquez kind of pioneered the counterpunching style. Juan Manuel Marquez kind of pioneered like the counterpunching style in Mexico. Basically, before that, you had some technical boxers like Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera, but you really recognize them from their wars and shit. Like, Marquez is sort of like a fucking doctor. He's like a tactician. Once he spots a flaw, he works that flaw until you make an adjustment, and then he'll make an adjustment on top of that, and that's basically what he would do. So, it's interesting to me that he doesn't respect Canelo at all. But what I'm starting to think about Juan Manuel Marquez is, he's slipping into obscurity. He's at the end of his career. And, I don't know, maybe Canelo's popular and this fucking dude is straight up hating. But then if you think about this too, Juan Manuel Marquez also thought that he beat Timothy Bradley. And I could see it in his face. He really thought that in the post-fight interview, which is fucking hysterical in my opinion. But that really shows to what level this dude has become fried fucking beans. You got that legendary knockout over Pacquiao. But at what cost? You know what I'm saying? Your head was getting snapped back. Every time I see Marquez fight, it's just like, especially when they show that back of the head angle, you stay seeing his head getting snapped back with big fucking shots and counter punches. You know what I'm saying? So, so these people who are saying things like this are either agenda-based or in Juan Manuel Marquez's case, they're just flat out fucking retarded. So, also let's talk about Miguel Cotto thought he won the fight, which is natural. Freddie Roach thought that they won the fight as well, which was natural, and I believe they really believed that and had good reason to right immediately after the fight. And they're probably going to continue to say that they thought that they won the fight because they want to keep Cotto as relevant as possible. But, once they see the fight at home, I'm sure that they're not stupid. I'm sure that they know that they lost the fight. Canelo just, in my opinion, he exceeded what was expected of him by certain people. Me and my brother over here at the Sweet Science Brothers boxing channel, we had that fight ending in a knockout. But, when I discussed the fight with my brother, I didn't think Cotto was going to fight that well. And I'll be honest, I don't even think Canelo was going to fight that well. So, I'm not going to talk about what's next for Gennady, what's next for Cotto. There's some lucrative fights definitely for Cotto at this point. Everyone's talking about how Timothy Bradley is going to go up in weight. And I could see Cotto fighting Bradley at 154 or whatever. But my advice to Cotto, without me trying to dwell into it too much, my advice to Cotto is just, hire a new nutritionist and try to get back down to 147 because I can't see you hanging with these guys at 154, and certainly you can't hang with the guys at middleweight. Now, you were never a middleweight, and I think the highest you went up was 155, so you're really not that far from 147. And there is no Manny Pacquiao in that division anymore. There is no Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you probably can compete with some of those guys, at least for whatever the year and a half you might still have left in boxing. I know that opinion sounds a little wacky, but that's just the way that I see it. As for Canelo, once again, without getting into too much detail, I don't think you could beat Gennady Golovkin. And I think it's unfair to the boxing community if you hold the middleweight belt hostage like Cotto did. And I don't think he will, to be honest. Oscar De La Hoya seems to be in touch with boxing. I kind of always like his decisions. He's one of my favorite promoters at this point, so I don't really see him not looking at what fans are saying and not taking it into account. So I'm sure that they will vacate that belt, or maybe, all that shit that Canelo was talking after the fight, maybe the cojones are real. Maybe it's time for Canelo to get his beak wet a little bit, to jump into danger, you know what I'm saying? So, but I don't see him beating Gennady Golovkin. And in my opinion, since he beat Arslan Lara, he's the fucking man at 154. So if you're going to relinquish the belt, if that's on your mind, Canelo, I know you're probably not going to be listening to this, but if this is on your fucking mind, then relinquish it and just go back down to 154. There ain't no shame in just saying, yo, I throwing your hands up and just, I can't beat this guy. So, these are my opinions on the week after. And let me know what you think in the comments section. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let us know. Peace out, y'all.